Thanks for joining me on this journey, and welcome to the Journey with Jennie podcast on SM Enlightenment Radio or TV, where we hit all the topics that help and encourage you on this journey of life. Everything from health to mindset to business to finances. Anything that helps you and makes your life better, we cover it all. Thanks for joining me on this journey, and welcome to the Journey with Jennie podcast, where we hit all the topics that help and encourage you on this journey of life. Everything from health to mindset to business to finances, anything that helps you and makes your life better, we cover it all. So tonight's topic I am really excited about because this is so awesome. It is how to find time for health. And so this is great because you can have these health goals and you can have all these things that you want to do, but if you don't make the time, if you don't carve that time out in your schedule, then chances are I kind of doubt you're actually going to accomplish those goals that you've set out. So this is going to be a really great episode, and I'm excited because I'm not doing it by myself. I have an awesome guest tonight, and let me introduce him. His name is Joe Perrone, and Joe is a strategist who helps business owners reclaim their time freedom. He believes that your business should run itself. It shouldn't run you into the ground. I love that. Joe has been helping his clients find full enjoyment in everything that they create and do it without burning out. Joe, an entrepreneur himself, owns and operates 2 successful automotive repair shops. He does it on about 6 hours per week. Joe's favorite way to invest his reclaimed time is by building strong relationships with his wife, his 2 young sons, and his network and his friends. So please help me in welcoming Joe Perrone.
Jennie, how are you?
I'm
So excited to
great. How
be
are
here.
you doing tonight?
Wonderful, wonderful. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. I am so glad you're here. And I think this is just going to be such a beneficial conversation to people because I feel like this is a key area where a lot of people struggle in both areas, in their health and also in time management, right?
It certainly is, Jennie, and with all the situation that we're in the world right now, it's not getting any easier. So, what a perfect time to have this conversation, and I'm so
Yeah.
delighted to be here.
I agree. Well, thank you for agreeing to come on. And so why don't we start off with who are you and let our audience know, like, why are you passionate about helping people and specifically entrepreneurs be able to carve out more time for their lives? What is your driver?
My driver is the story of burnout that I went through, and what came before, during, and after that period of time for me was an eye opener for what I didn't want in my life, but I had attracted all of that in. I had
Mm,
attracted poor health habits. I had attracted burnout, and it was in the middle of a work day of my automotive business that I collapsed in the middle of a work day, and it was anxiety, it was panic, it was dehydration, it was not getting enough sleep, and all of these easy things that could have been very easily avoided just added up, and my stress level was high, and I hadn't set boundaries, like I said.
mm.
And it was truly in that moment when I'm in the emergency room and the doctor says, you're gonna have to be on antidepressants for a long period of time, maybe if not the rest of your life, because of the choices that you made. And I had recently gone through, with my brother, 10 years of him, having a drug issue and
Mm,
addiction, because he had been prescribed opioids due to a car accident. So I saw what it did to my family, I saw what it did to my brother, and I wasn't going to choose an external fix for an internal problem, but I didn't
mm,
know how to do it.
yeah.
So where the passion comes from is they were simple things, Jennie. There were simple things that I could have done to avoid that painful experience for myself. So as I got myself from burnout to, now I say, burnout to freedom,
Mhm.
it was the simple things that I practiced every day, and if I could help one person avoid the pain that I went through and
Mhm.
the decisions that I had to really make, and I had to make them pretty quickly
Yeah.
because if I wasn't gonna go on antidepressants, and if I wasn't gonna use that choice and that solution to this problem, well, I had to make a choice of what are you gonna do? You have to do something because everything in your life up to this point has led to this outcome.
Mhm. Yeah.
And if you keep going on that if you keep
Mhm.
going with that, the outcome's not gonna change.
Yeah. There oh goodness, there's so many things I wanna go back into and unpack. You hit on so a couple of them I'll just throw out there. Just one, going way back to the beginning of your story, just, even unpacking a little bit more of how you got to where you were, because I think that is really critical, because a lot of entrepreneurs listening be like, "Oh yeah, okay, that's okay, but you don't really know my stress, or you don't know what I'm dealing with, or I've got XYZ going on." And the amount of what you were dealing with, and you don't need to necessarily go into like all of the details and all of everything, but it is amazing what you were doing with your business and how you were turning it around, and or how you were working so hard in it that led to that. And then also then another thing that you said that really stood out to me was the decisions that you made, you created that situation. And I think that is another thing we can dive into, so critical, that so many people are like, well, this is what I'm dealt in life. This is what's happening to me. This is just a situation I'm in, and acting like a victim, and not feeling that we have the power to make a decision to get out of that, as well. So those are two big things. And then just the whole, which isn't necessarily on the slate for tonight, just talking about just so many different crises that we're facing in this world, or in the US, and the opioid crisis is one of them. So that's a whole nother topic. But going back to the beginning, like, can you unpack that a little bit more of on your entrepreneurial journey, how you were in that situation?
Yeah, so it was, you talk about health, that's your passion. My passion is time. And where that intersected and how we connected
Yeah.
was it was no boundaries. I had no boundaries, and it was going so fast through life and through business. And I had this, I was on an interview the other day, and I said it for the first time, and I said I'm going to share that all the time. Is I had the ladder of success on the wrong building. The building that I
Oh,
had it on was the material. Let's get to the nice house. Let's get to the
mhm,
nice car. Let's get to the dollar amount and dollar figure in the bank. Let's get to the materialism of
mhm,
all of it. And that was the building that I was building my life on. So when that's the desired end result, you have
mhm.
to first of all, you have to have money to go through your
To live.
lifestyle, to pay your
Yes.
bills.
Yes.
Money has to be
It is
in
necessary. Yes.
right?
Yes.
But the accumulation of it and the accumulation of stuff and things that we don't need at the expense of our health and
Mhm.
what we're actually putting our bodies through to get to these
Yeah.
desired end results of materialism.
Mhm.
And
It's
that was what I was chasing.
yeah. It's how you define success, right? I mean, that's a great starting place, is what is your definition of success? And like you said, are you willing to give up the things that you actually need to build that, like your health?
And I believe it's giving up, but everything is redefining what it is
Mm,
that you truly want.
yeah.
So that was what I had to go through that process of. And for any business owner that's out there listening and would say, this isn't me, or this was a different story. This is all of us. This is
Yeah.
we are holding each other. This is all of us. This is the
Mhm.
business community.
Right.
Because when we wake up in the morning, we're still, we still have to put our shoes on in the morning. We still have to
Yeah.
we all get up the same. It's all the same stuff, and we all
Yeah.
have to face it. We
At
all
the
have
end of
kids
yeah.
breakfast in the morning.
We're people. We're all
We're
people. We're
people.
entrepreneurs, but we're people.
Correct. And it's making those daily choices and I was making all poor ones in
Mhm.
my business. I chose to go way too fast, and I allowed no boundaries. I didn't know how to say no. And, I have since learned that no is a full sentence.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
You know?
It just made that completely. I feel like everyone has that moment in their life when they realize that. And if you are listening and haven't yet, then maybe this is your moment where you will find that out. But I very clearly remember, yes, I mean, a book that helped me. I mean, I was the person that said yes to everything, and I'll do that. I'll take it on. Like it, no matter how small it sounded or how big it sounded. Like, sure, I can do that. I want to help. I'll do that. And having zero boundaries and just going through that process of understanding that boundaries are protection, and it's not a bad thing to say no. It's actually a good thing because, like you were saying, what is your definition of success? What are your abilities and the things that you can do well? And put your efforts and energy and time in those things instead of just saying yes to everything that comes along.
And as we sit clearly define these boundaries, we're allowed to, we've slowed down and we've gotten clear on, okay, what is success to us? What do we
Mhm.
want to do in our life? What do we want to be in our life? What do we want to see in our life? And one of the books that really locked it in for me was The Five Regrets of the Dying. That was
Mm,
an amazing book, and we're going to get to the end of our life someday, and it's going to be, did we wish we spent more time with our friends and our family? Did we live a life that was true to our values? And I forget the other three, but the these regrets that we'll have when those last days are here, like, how did we live our
yeah.
lives? Did we live it for, did we live it for the
Mhm.
accumulation of stuff, or did we live it to the service of other people?
Right.
And as we go through this business journey, we are only business professionals to serve other people. That's the
Yes.
only reason we're here, to
Yes.
do this.
Yep.
Business isn't just the accumulation of money. If you're in business to accumulate money and wealth, it's gonna be
Get out.
a sorry, sad journey.
Yeah.
But if you're in business to serve and serve really
Mhm.
well, you're gonna be so successful and so wealthy because you're gonna have wealth of connections, you're gonna have wealth of love and
Yeah.
trust and these wonderful relationships that we've all built. We
Mhm.
talked in the pre-show
Yeah.
about the connections and our
Yes.
networking and our groups and our these
Yep.
people that you can pay for this. They're
Mhm.
invaluable to us.
Yeah.
But when we're rushing through life and we're rushing through and we're just collecting and it's about the
Mhm.
accumulation, it's never gonna make us happy.
No. And I love that about what you do now and what you put in your bio, because now when you do that, like, I'm jumping way to the end, in the second time we'll talk about like the how-tos and stuff, but when you are able to accomplish that, you open up that time to spend with those people that really matter, the things that really do matter. And I love that because it's such a beautiful symbiotic relationship of that work and life and creating that time. So let me ask you, so, and maybe we did just kind of go into it, but like, so where do you start with someone? Like if someone is, so if I came to you and said, Joe, I'm dying here, like I need your help. Like, where do I even start? Where do you start with people?
It's really realizing the speed at which you're going through
Mm,
life. And life, business, there's no such thing as work-life balance. It's
yeah.
life,
Yeah.
right? And it's slowing that down long enough to see where you're at.
Mm,
I'm in, in the automotive space for 25 years, but I like using you have the pedal to the floor going 100 miles an hour, but you didn't look down and the gas light just went on and you're about to hit E.
you're in trouble.
Yeah, that car could go as fast as you want it to go, but if you have no gas in the tank, you're not going anywhere. So
Mhm.
that's what happens with most business owners. It's just go, 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 and they don't realize that it's going to E, and that's when burnout occurs,
Yeah.
right? So we want to see where you're at right now. Want to see what's going on in your world, and pulling it all back for you and saying, okay, here's where you're at. Here's the outcomes. What are the outcomes right now that aren't the way that you designed them to be?
Yeah. I think
And
that oh, go ahead.
no. And it's just an important place to start because
Mhm.
if you're not in the outcome that you currently want, there has to be change. And that was one of the
Yeah.
things that I had to learn was for anything were to change, it's me.
Change, that's a bad word.
If anything was gonna change in my life,
Yeah.
I had to change. And
Mhm.
boy, that poop slapped me in the face. And I couldn't blame my neighbor, couldn't blame my wife, couldn't blame, my mother-in-law, couldn't blame sorry, my mother-in-law if she's listening. But
No, don't
that's
blame her.
that's the truth. You can't blame,
Yeah.
there was no room to blame anybody else but myself and change anything else but me.
Yeah.
So that's where we like to start with business or see what the outcomes are. What's
Mhm.
the balance sheet look like right now? What's the balance sheet
Mm.
of your life look like right now?
Ooh, that's a good one. Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
So that makes me think, like, just kind of veering off a little bit, and we'll come back to going further with that, but, do you find with the people that come to you and the people that you work with, that it typically has been this moment kinda like you had where they kind of just everything stops and they're forced to make that decision, and they're just like, "Oh, no, what do I do?" Or is it more, just people are starting to hear signs and like, "Oh, yeah, maybe I should kinda stop and think about it." Like, where do you usually find what at what point on that continuum are people actually coming to you for help?
I love working with people that will do the work and show up as their honest, authentic self,
Mm,
saying, "You know what? There's possibilities out there that I can have the successful business that I want. I can have the successful life that I want. I can design this for myself." And they're going to just be honest and do the work. So what I
mhm,
find is that moment when you have to change or there has to be
mhm,
some change. They've known this intuitively
mhm,
for a long time.
mhm.
But now as they're seeing it and someone else is kind of, helping them. I'm not gonna walk in and say, "Hey, you're doing this wrong." It's them. They're realizing it, but just they need to hear it. They need to say it. They need to just be in that open space. And I love just listening. I love just sitting there, asking a question, hearing it, and almost before they finish answering, they answer their own question. And then
Yeah,
they realize that they answered and the aha and the light bulb goes on. There's a lot of people mistake coaching for therapy. Coaching isn't therapy. Coaching's holding space with people because
right.
these are the things that you don't talk about to your best friend. These are
Yeah.
the things that you don't talk about to your networking group. These are the
Mhm,
things that you don't talk to your relatives.
mhm.
And that's why coaching is so important because that is the space where you
Yeah.
do talk about this stuff. You do have that safe space where there's no judgment. There's nobody's going to slap you on the
Mhm,
wrist,
mhm.
and no, there's no, it just is.
Yeah. And I love that too because I think too you're right, it's not talked about. It's not a normal thing that just comes up in conversation, and unless you're in a situation like that or in some amazing group, networking group that does talk about those types of things, I feel like you reach a certain point in your life or a certain age and it's just like, okay, you're not dreaming's done. You set your goal, you set your course in life, and this is where I'm going. And at what point do you stop and turn and say, wait, what are my dreams? What do I really want to be doing? And I also feel like it kind of goes with the way that we're taught in school, and especially entrepreneurs may or may not be having come through business classes or business school. But regardless of what schooling you've had, it's not taught just the dream big. And it's just like, do this, do the courses, get the job, go to the next thing. And so I feel like that shift of really, wait, I really am in the driver's seat here. What are my dreams? What can I do to get back on that path? I think is so critical because I think we just start, getting a job, paying the bills, start our business, do the next thing, and never like pull our head up out of the sand and be like, wait a minute, what's this world look like around me, and where do I really want to be?
And it's so true because most of the time, what we're seeing in our and it's truly our influence. It's what influences us.
Mm,
And I remember us talking about, you saying telling me about the foods. Like we had a
yeah.
really good conversation about the
Yeah.
foods that we eat. And it's where what are our inputs? And
Hmm.
it's typically it's television, it's movies, it's
Mm,
the news, it's media,
yeah.
and we're constantly being sold to.
Yeah.
Bright light went on in my head when I finally realized it's like we're being everything you do, everything you're being sold to.
Yes.
You don't
That's
have to
yeah.
accept it. You could refuse the package. You
Hmm.
could say, "No, no, I'm on I'm doing my
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
It was entertaining, but I'm good."
Yep. It's
Or
so true.
you can choose, "Oh, I'm not good enough unless I drive that type of car. I'm not good enough if I don't have that type of house, and
Mhm.
I'm not good." We're constantly being told that we're not enough.
Right.
So, we're always searching for how can I be enough?
Yeah.
How can I make my life better? You could just be. You could
Yeah.
just be better. You could just be the person that you want to be and select that life that you truly want. And it could be done at
Mhm.
any age. It could be done
Yeah.
at any time. You talked about dreaming. A
Mhm.
lot of the time, most times, and people I worked with a gentleman, and he stopped dreaming at 6 years old,
Oh,
and he was
wow.
62 years old.
Oh my gosh, that's
He
so
hadn't
sad.
dreamed in 56 years
Wow.
because he was told that he couldn't do something, and his parents told them that this was not this is not something that you can do. He was told so, and that happens a lot. I often talk to clients about, what their dreams are, and sometimes you get like this blank stare. Dreaming has been taken completely out of our conversations. If you're dreaming, stop daydreaming. Like it's in
Yep.
our get your head out of the clouds. It's just
Mhm.
how we speak and how
Yeah.
our language has evolved. Um, so I encourage people to start dreaming.
Yeah.
Start thinking about different options. I had a client that didn't like a certain type of food,
Hmm.
and it was because his parents didn't like that type of food,
Yeah.
and his sister didn't like that type of food. So he would get into these social circles where, hey, let's go to this restaurant. He's like,
He's
oh,
like,
I don't do that.
I don't need that.
And it was affecting him.
Yeah.
And he secretly wanted to try, but he'd been programmed. Imagine that. Imagine not
Wow.
trying a certain type of cuisine or trying something new and being afraid. Just fear.
Yeah.
Fear. It was
That's
literally like childlike fear
wow.
of a shadow. That's the type, you're working with these people. It was
Yep.
going down to that place of fear, and it was
Mhm.
fear of the unknown. So as work with people and work with clients, and I'm sure that you found this to be true too. It's pulling them out and getting them to say,
Yes.
I could take full ownership of this.
Mhm.
I could take full ownership of my health,
Yes.
and Joe, I could take full ownership of my time.
Mhm.
100%.
It's amazing what you can accomplish. I love that when you give yourself that full ownership. And I mean, it just everything that you were saying was just speaking to my soul. I mean, just the whole I just did a podcast on mindset, just the the foundational effects that that has on absolutely everything you do. And obviously my take, with health, obviously, try to get those health goals. If you keep telling yourself, I only like the fried food. I'm fat. I'm ugly. Like, how far are you going to get in your goals if you keep telling you it's impossible? I can never lose weight. Like, if you keep telling yourself that, like, yeah, that's probably, I don't eat the vegetables. I don't like those. I don't like green things. Like, why would you keep telling yourself that? And the power of the mindset is so important. I completely agree. And I am looking forward to continuing this conversation after the break because we have so much more to dive into. We talked a lot about the foundational sets and where we start, and we're going to dive even deeper and go even further in what that looks like. What can we really do to be able to prioritize our time and create the time for our health? So you are listening to Journey with Jennie on SM Enlightenment Radio or TV, or listening to Journey with Jennie podcast. And I'm Jennie, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Journey with Jennie on SM Enlightenment Radio and the Journey with Jennie podcast. I'm Jennie, and we have been discussing creating time freedom, specifically for being able to fit in your health goals that you have. And really, you can fit in any goals that you want. And I have guest Joe Perrone with me, and we were just discussing so much over the break. And we're just going to get really practical now in this second segment. And Joe, take it away. Tell us, like, we talked about the foundation. Where do we start? Now, what do we do? What does this look like?
So in the 5 keys to time freedom, that will be a free giveaway for your listeners, Jennie.
Awesome. Thank you.
I talk about doing less. And this is from Greg McCune, who wrote Essentialism, and it's a it's something he took from somewhere, but it's do less but better. So the things that we're doing, how I like to lead my clients towards is create simply just take a little notebook here, dime store notebook, a pen and a paper, right?
I'm ready.
You are given 24 hours in a day. When you wake up, it's blank. Okay. What are you doing in that day currently?
You asking me personally? You want me to answer?
It's just what are you doing in that day currently? I wanted to give a little pause for dramatic effect.
Gotcha. We don't want everyone to hear my answers. Audience, you put in your answers here.
Yeah. And so we'll toggle back then and now for me quickly, but it was kind of wake up, check emails, check the sports scores from the night before, and start my day in social media and just get aggravated about whatever the grievance is that day on social media or news or whatever garbage is going on, right? That was the old day, right?
Yep.
So what I found was, if I started my day in that lane, I'm in fear. I'm starting my day in fear, in worry, and that was not the right place to start my day, right? So what I did find was the opposite of fear is gratitude. So when I'm in gratitude, and this is why people say, gratitude journal. I'm going to write my gratitude journal. They say it very like, oh, it's woo woo, and that.
Yeah.
You cannot be in fear and in a state of gratitude at the same time. It's impossible. So try it. Just do it. It'll work.
I love that.
What I'll write down in this little guy is 3 things that I'm grateful for. Usually it's the same 3 things. Sometimes it's different. Sometimes I'll keep a running list. Sometimes I won't. But pick 3 things that you're grateful for. And just simply take 1 minute on each thing that you write and just meditate on it. Meditating is just simply thinking about that one thing and nothing else for that 1 minute. That's all it is. It's not, it could be this, it could be this. It's whatever will allow you to sit in that one thing. That's meditation. and meditate on that one thing and then go to the next thing. And that's 3 minutes to start your day. I have another exercise for gratitude that I love to do, and it's the same 3 minutes, but it's when I open my eyes, how many things can I be grateful for in 3 minutes? And I like speed around it. So if I want to switch it up a little bit,
That's fun.
I'll set the timer. I won't even move my head off the pillow. I'll kind of just do like Alexa set a 3-minute timer, or Google set a 3-minute timer to the timer on the side table. And for that 3 minutes, I will meditate on as many things and just bring in all that gratitude for all these things. And it's my eyesight, it's my ability to have a business, it's my ability to spend time with my kids, or have a great coffee to drink in the morning. Like simple.
Yeah.
Stay like so granular, simple, because when you can appreciate the little things in life, when you can appreciate those things, they turn into big things.
Yeah.
They turn into experiences. They turn into how you experience and go through life. So I could spend all day talking about gratitude, but I won't. But if you that first 3 minutes, stay in gratitude. What I like to do next is I'll intentionally think of someone today that I can help. It could be anybody. If you're in business, it could be a client. It could be an employee. It could be your business partner. It could be, a networking connection. Who's somebody that I could focus on today and do something or reach out to them today, and I'll write their name down. From there, I go through anything that I've committed to for today. So I'll look at my Google Calendar. I'll say, okay, I have this, and this today. I'll put those in the calendar. The old way was just go through the day. Just let the day take you where it wants to take you.
Yeah.
And we have those two options every single day.
Yeah.
Am I going to wake up and I'm going to own this day, or am I going to wake up and let the day own me? And that's where we talk about, does your business run you, or you run your business?
Yeah.
Right. So it's going back to our last segment is, are we taking ownership? And we must take ownership.
Yes.
So when you take that powerful blank piece of paper, now you're in creation mode. You're creating a miracle for yourself. You're creating a day. Given these hours, you're given this day. Now, what are you going to do with it? Not what is it going to do with you?
Right.
And I love to rehearse my day. So as I go through the commitments, we all have those entrepreneurial days that challenge us.
Yeah.
Had some, we switched some major service providers for us in the last couple months, and it was difficult. And we had a meeting last Monday, and it was a little bit difficult. But when I was instead of going into the day runs me and into that victim mode, I meditated on what did I want to happen. What did I want? We switched service providers. We knew that this new service provider was going to give us better service than the last one. So it was going to, in the end, make our life better, but it was painful to go through the process. So what did I expect to happen? So as we go through that expectation and we rehearse, what would be the ideal outcome from this? And I did that, Jennie, and I spoke that into existence, talked to my business partner, and everything that day, that meeting went exactly how I envisioned it. It was easier than it needed to be. It was actually easier than I thought I even imagined it to be.
Yeah.
And it was something that was an uncomfortable thing that we both had to do.
Yeah.
Uncomfortable phone calls, and there was a lot of things that had to happen. We're business owners. We have to make decisions. We have to, does the business own you, or do you own your business?
Right.
Do you allow your service providers to tell you, or do you own it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh man, you hit so many amazing things. And those of you listening, just replay that and listen to that again. Like that was absolutely amazing. So many things stood out to me. And what you were just talking about, the power of keeping the end in mind and just the overall power of vision. And it makes me think of, the Olympics are coming up, and just I remember the first time I saw that several years ago, and the skiers are standing there and you can't really see their faces at all, in their helmets and stuff, but before their run, and they're like turning their body and stuff, and they're doing vision of the run, and they know exactly and how it's going to go. And it's the same thing with our life and with our business and whatever goals we have. What is that vision that we have? And I love that you said that it was still difficult. You still had tough phone calls to make. You still had to do all the things of your business. It's not like that changed, but it was the way that you approached it and the attitude that you took when you were doing those hard things. Are you going to be frustrated by them? Or are you going to just go in like a conqueror and be like, okay, this is, I know this is our goal. It might be, go like this to get there, but we're going to go through it and we're going to end up with the vision that we have set out. And I think that's a really powerful picture of the power of vision and just keeping the end in mind. And it's that way with any project you do, right? Where do you want to be? And that's how way we started our whole conversation. Like, where are you now and where do you want to be? What are your dreams? And then work backwards and like, okay, then what do we need to do to accomplish that and be able to get there? And the other thing that stood out to me too is how you react to it, how you see that situation. And the thing that's really been working on me lately, like, I don't know if you're familiar with Dr. Shad Helmstetter, but he talks a lot about what to say when you talk to yourself and all that research with self-talk. And it's funny because I shared a couple of different things, and one of them was on traffic and I'm like, ooh, this is speaking to me. So I have to say, like, I've been focusing on that. I'm like, you know what? I'm in the car. There's traffic. It's how I react to it, and I'm in control of that reaction. So it's the same thing with our time goals. It's the same thing with our eating goals, with our health goals, whatever it is. It's still that vision piece, and then how we react to whatever comes up in that journey.
It's so true. And attitude, how we approach anything that we'll do throughout that day, it goes back to that victim or victor mindset, right?
Yeah.
Is it what happens to me, or what's my attitude about it?
Yeah.
And you're so spot on, Jenny. And I just love that. And that's part of how we create this day that we want to do. And what I coach my clients to do, what we work on, what I do myself, is that if there's anything in my day, in my week, there's something I do not like to do. I'm dreading doing this. I pull that sucker apart. I pull that apart because somewhere along the line, I either didn't set a boundary,
Mm.
my attitude's terrible about it, or it's something somebody else could have did.
Hmm. Yeah.
And it could have been somebody else's priority. And that goes back to boundaries. Somebody else's
Yep.
priority is not your problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Until it is. Until you drop that boundary and you accept that,
Yeah.
and it goes against your values.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, it's really changing your attitude towards it. That's what I've found. I had a big shift with work. Even though I'm a business owner, would still say, I'm going to work.
Mm.
And I had these, we talk about self-talk, and I had these
Yeah.
negative words about work.
Mm-hmm.
My father worked 60, 70 hours a week. When I burned out, I was working 60, 70 hours a week, would come home, do all the social media, do the website, update all that stuff. And the word work was a negative word for me.
Mm.
And it wasn't until I went through, one of my early coaches went through the passion test. I don't know if you know that book, The Passion Test.
No, that's another new one.
And that was a process that showed me what I loved to do about what I did.
Hmm.
I dissected that and went so far into like going into my business that I knew exactly what I was there to do.
Hmm.
And what I found was I loved the customer service piece of it. We have an auto body and auto repair shop. People come in after a breakdown. They're very stressed. It's very, other than medical, other than a medical emergency, having something happen to your car that gets you everything. Talk about
Yes,
in traffic,
that's super stressful.
it's stressful.
Changes your
And
life.
it wasn't until my coach, and she became our marketing person. She sat in on it. She sat in our office one day. She just sat in there with a notepad and was just taking notes. I thought it was kind of weird, but a lot of gold came out of it. And she said, "Joe, out of everything I saw today, you help customers relax after their car accidents."
Wow.
So that was my new go-to thing.
Hmm.
I'm helping. My purpose of driving in that traffic, going over the Q Bridge. If you're in I-95 in Connecticut,
Yeah.
on I-95 anywhere in the country,
Yes, pretty much.
DC, you know, right? Go there and in that traffic and come home in that traffic. My purpose of going there was to serve other people, help them, and most importantly, calm their nerves, help them relax, and that
Mhm.
actually turned into our slogan for our body shop was "Relax, it was an accident." And we don't say that tongue in
Ah,
cheek. We say that because that's what we tell
yeah.
people what we do.
Yeah.
And everybody rallied around that thing. So even in our systems in our company to make decisions, will this help a customer relax?
Mm.
Will
Wow.
this be in service to this customer? And when we changed that, the word work just went away. And now my son asked me one day, "Dad, what are you doing today?" I said, "I'm going to help people." He's like, "Oh, that's cool."
That's awesome.
Right?
I love that. And that's so powerful. And again, I feel like that also goes back to the boundaries conversation because it's working within your gifts and where you are gifted. And then it doesn't feel like a burden when you're doing that. And then I thought you were also going to add, because the first thing I thought when you started talking about that was changing the talk to is like, I get to, instead of I have to. I get to whatever it is that's in your business or in your day or whatever, I get to serve people. I get to help people. I get to do these things. And it's, again, I think that also puts you in the ownership and responsibility role instead of victim role. I have to do this, someone else out there is pulling the strings, as opposed to I get to do this. So I think that's really powerful. um so let's keep going with very practical steps. And so I know that you wrote a short PDF called The 5 Keys to Time Freedom, that will take even the most stressed or overwhelmed business owners, like, 20 minutes to complete. So can you highlight one of the keys for our listeners, or if you want to go over, a few more, depending on the time that we have left, to just even give even more practical things, because we've given them so many things. Even if you do one of the things that Joe has said, like, this is so powerful.
Well, I already weaved in some of them. So it was the first one is slow down. The
Hmm.
second one's get clear. The third one is do less but better. The fourth one is scheduling time for ourselves. And this is why when we first met, I was like, "Oh, I love that you are the health piece," because that was the part that I was missing
Yeah.
so much of was the health piece. And that's
Mhm.
still today is the most challenging thing that I work so hard on. And I could tell you a really quick story about,
Yes.
the time freedom guy not having time to go walking. And my
Ironic.
my my wife had asked me, well, we our neighborhood is about a mile and a half around, so twice around is 3 miles, which I didn't know was a 5K until my friend that's a runner
There
said,
you
"You do a 5K every day?"
go.
But my wife asked me, she says, "Do you want to go walking in the morning or in the afternoon?" And I said, "I don't have time. I got meetings, I got Zooms, I got this, I got that." And I'm living the life that I really want to live. Like
Right.
not much that I do. There's nothing that I really do that I don't want to do. And I'm like, I don't have the time. And she
Mm.
goes, that's BS. She said, you're the time freedom guy. You can make time for that.
Snap. You got
No,
called to the carpet.
that's right. So it was really, and what I did was I made an excuse. I made a story. We tell ourselves stories.
Yep.
We had to check in, make sure they're not, are they true? Are these stories true that we're telling
Mm.
ourselves? So it was me not scheduling time for myself, scheduled everything for everybody else.
Yeah.
It's all good stuff. We're
Mhm.
helping people. Jenny, we're helping people. They were doing
Yeah.
doing all the good stuff. But
Mhm.
just like when we're getting on a flight and they tell you to put your air mask on first,
Mhm.
well, that's because you need air to serve
Mhm.
somebody else. You have to be at
Right.
your 100% self. Nobody wants you at 65%.
Right.
Nobody wants you at 80%. They want you at
Mhm.
100%. They want you 100% of your time,
Yeah.
your attention, your focus. They want you to be present with them, even if it's for 10 or 15 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
So, we know the health benefits of eating right and walking and
Mhm.
sleep. And, we had a fun conversation about all those things that you
Yes.
do. So, you know, that's
Yep.
not our last conversation on that. But scheduling that time for ourselves.
Yeah.
And I have time that says free time, Joe's free time. It's in my calendar. I'll write it in this book. It'll be in my Google Calendar. It'll be in our family calendar. This is free time, but I also have that time for my wife has a spot in that calendar.
Mhm.
My kids, Thursday with my 3-year-old. He comes to the shop with me. We we
Love it.
we go have sushi at the sushi place. He loves it.
That's great.
Everybody has a spot in that calendar. You are so important. Put yourself in that calendar first.
Yeah.
Schedule that time first. So that's number 4 key. And number 5 is that daily actions. What are those things that we can
Mhm.
do every single day? And I love giving and gratitude. Those are my two favorite words. And a lot of people think giving as in, I gotta take my wallet out, I gotta give money, I gotta, Venmo, or I gotta do this charity, or that's great. That's good. You can give resources. You can, pack up your boxes of stuff and give them. You can go buy people stuff. That's good.
Mhm.
What I think is better is now that you've found the time for yourself and you've backed off some of these commitments, and you've backed off some of these
Yeah.
things that you've obligated yourself and have created boundaries. You haven't established boundaries with. As you reclaim that time, now it's important to give that time
Yeah.
to people that you know that you can help and you can serve and that need your attention, your
Mhm.
focus. They need your presence.
Yeah.
And when you
I
can do that without looking at your watch and
Yeah.
looking at your phone and checking the iWatch, we've all done it, but
Yeah.
it's so friggin' rude.
Yeah. So true.
So start giving. Giving is so important. And in the 5 keys, there's so many more examples of giving that doesn't cost you a dime. There's a couple short little stories in there, but it's really designed to just take action. If you could just say,
Yeah.
"Hey, I want time," and I'll follow this PDF, you will have more time right after you read it.
I love it. That is absolutely amazing, so powerful. And one thing that just came up really fast as I was thinking about that, and I had been thinking about it, and then it really came up with exactly what you were just saying. Was this is also a generational effect because, especially for those of us that are parents, then our kids see this new way, like it's new to us, it's not necessarily new to them, it's what they know. And they see you prioritizing each other, the parent relationship, prioritizing the relationship with the child, and seeing that that those priorities and boundaries set, which makes it just so much healthier for them. And I just think that's an amazing gift that you can give to them as well. So that's so powerful. So I have 2 things I'm going to ask you to do, even though you've just given us so much. Thank you for that. Can you, because I love that we both both read a lot, but you have read, like, you are always dropping all these books that I've never heard of. I'm like, oh, I'm going to add that to my list. So can you give us 2 books that you recommend for us to read? And then also then share with us the giveaway that you had that you were so generous to offer to our audience.
2 books I would highly recommend. One of them is The Five Regrets of the Dying. That book I would read when you order it on Amazon. Order a couple boxes of tissues because it's not
Oh,
it's not it's not a fun read, but it will, thinking with the end in mind, as we
mm,
talked about earlier, it will get you grounded in what the reality of what it's going to be at the end. You're not going to say, I wish I spent more time making money. I wish I spent more time in my business. I wish I spent more time. No, it's going to be, I wish I had those experiences with my family, with my friends. I wish I had close relationships. I wish I had built those close relationships. And Bronnie Ware describes it so brilliantly in her book, The Five Regrets of the Dying. And a book that, I'm reading again right now is Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's just, it's one of those books that it's so actionable. It's so granular.
mm.
It's so like you could just, uh, it,
I love
I
that book.
it takes me yeah, it takes me so long to go through it because I'll read 2 pages and I stop and I say, okay, where can I apply this?
Yeah.
And James talks about habit stacking, which is so important to time freedom. Um,
Mhm.
a habit stack that I just did, and kind of a success story on the walking was,
Yeah.
walking with my son in the stroller. I had to do some videos for my business. So I was like pushing the
Yeah.
stroller, getting some exercise, got
Doing
my
it all.
son. Now I'm teaching him, I'm being a good dad. I'm showing these good health habits that, I don't want Jennie to kick my butt over here, because I'm not doing the good health habits, right?
No, it's all in love. It's okay.
I'm hitting the stack of 3 or 4 values that I have, and I just got a good exercise in.
Yeah.
It's so
That's
so it's so
awesome.
important, and that's from that habit stacking that James talks about, and
Love
it's
it.
just so brilliant. So 2 great
Yeah.
books.
Awesome. So, how can people grab the giveaway that you have, and how can people get in touch with you?
So the 5 keys to time freedom is right on my website. You go to joeperrone.biz and you can just put in the slash, and it's 5, the number 5, and then keys, 5 keys. Um, and my website's joeperrone.biz. Go on the website. I got a pretty cool blog. I love posting stuff on Facebook. So we have a Time Freedom Warrior Facebook group, and I'm on LinkedIn and Instagram. And mostly you'll see pictures of what I love to do, which is either spending time with my children or my wife or our social life. So it's that ideal life that I've created, and it might not be for everybody, but it's that's what I'm creating, and I love to share that and give people some options and give them a little inspiration.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Joe. This has been absolutely wonderful, so helpful and eye-opening to all of our audience, and just great actionable steps. So thank you so much for taking the time to come on with us tonight. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it was my pleasure, Jennie. Thanks for having me.
Thanks. And thank you all for joining me on this journey of life. I am Jennie, and you are listening to Journey with Jennie on SM Enlightenment Radio and the Journey with Jennie podcast. If you liked what you heard today and found it helpful, please subscribe to my podcast and leave a 5-star review. And I'd be so grateful. Thanks for listening.